Hello, this is Second Story Garage. I'm Quentin Young, and we're here with Musketeer Gripweed. Ciao. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
All right, and they traveled all the way down from Fort Collins to be with us.
In a snowstorm.
In the snow.
On donkeys.
On horseback. And and you guys have been up in Fort Collins for a while. You've been when did you form? You guys have been playing the Front Range for a while.
Yeah, about 8 years ago. Nobody was paying attention until about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they must have been, maybe.
What changed? They just all got out, huh?
Well, yeah, all of this exact lineup.
Yeah. So what about Fort Collins and making that your home base and staying with it and kind of being proud of that too?
I moved to Fort Collins 13 years ago as a one-year plan. I was on a mad mission to be a wilderness guide, and kind of got stuck, and then roots started to grow, and I met a lot of fantastic people. The music scene is really off the hook up there right now, and so I have not been able to leave Fort Collins for a long time.
Yeah. Well, what is going on up there? Because I was living in Fort Collins about 10 years ago, and the scene was just kind of like taking off, and that buzz. Yeah. And now it's really kind of blossomed and become something special.
Well, that's about the time we all showed up there, so that makes a lot of sense.
Well, it is huge. It's grown. We just had Foco MX this last weekend, which is the local music festival, and it was, as it's been in years past, every venue, lines down the street, just packed with all local music. It's pretty amazing up there right now. I don't know if the rest of Colorado is catching on, but there's a lot happening.
Yeah, they must be, because Channel 9 News followed us around for the last week, practice and Foco MX. And you've got billionaires, and you've got nobody, and you've got artists that are struggling with nothing, and everybody's contributing something to it, and the town is pumping money into arts instead of trying to skimp. And so it's, when you can pull off a festival that size with 240 bands in a couple days at 20 venues, and you're talking about a town that's only 120,000 people, that's substantial. So they're cultivating it. It's a conscious thing.
Mm-hmm. And so you just played, and that was on 420, and that sounded like an interesting show.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Packed. Every place is packed, but that theater holds what?
About 700 people.
Yeah, and so it was hot and
Which
tight.
theater?
The Aggie Theater.
The Aggie, yeah, cool. I was in a band that played on the same bill as Musketeer Gripweed several years ago at Toad Tavern. I don't know if you even remember this. And
is it Snowy Night?
I don't remember. It was that kind of night. I don't remember. But you guys came on right after my band, and I remember the bass player in my band, and I stuck around, and immediately you guys came on and really had the whole place in the palm of your hands, and what it was is the energy that you guys bring, and you especially, Jason, really kind of helped create this energy, and I from reading about you, I take it that part of it is this alter ego that you have on stage, and you go by Monkey-Paw Patterson. Is that it? Did I have that right?
The Reverend. He goes by that.
He goes by that. Right.
Now that we're done playing, it's just me again.
Who is Monkey-Paw? Who is the Reverend Monkey-Paw?
He's a metaphysical manifestation of psychological problems. No. I would just say it's like the collection of energy from everybody else. We don't walk in a place and just go, we walk in and we take the energy. If people are there, you harness that energy and then you go with it. And so that's kind of, we're visual listeners. Mm-hmm. You can say you're not, but you look at a band and you're watching them and you're listening with your eyes too. And I think that adding that component to what we've been doing the last couple of years, and, button-up shirts, that's, top notch. We're trying hard, but we've stepped it up. We're just more professional, more visual, more energy, more songwriting, and
Well, we were talking just before about the. You also have kind of a message that you bring too. Is that tied up with what you're talking about? And what is that message?
Yes, and I would say that. I myself, when I go out to see bands, Fish or What's Your Panic or whoever, and there's 20,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or 10 people in a place, and they're basically all there for the same reason, and they basically have similar views. They're going there. They love music. It's meaningful to them. It speaks to them. And so if you're there, why can't you take a few moments to say, here's how we can make things better? I mean, it's obvious that we need to make things better, like as a starting point. And we can do it, and I think the message is clear. And it's you could do it for free, and you can do it with more love and compassion and kindness. And it starts in the studio, and it starts at every show. And
is that something that you all kind of like are on board with or talk about? Or
I'm not sure. I hope so. They haven't censored me on that level yet. So.
If we have any dissenters here, no. Is that like
No, I think it's ever since I've known Jason. Jason and I kind of started out way back in the day playing music, and he's always sort of had that message, and it's a beautiful message, and it's a super easy message that really gets lost on people in their day-to-day lives. Is that you really don't need a whole lot of money. You don't. There's nothing that can really make this world a better place than just us, the public. And do I disagree with Jason on a lot of political issues? Absolutely. Yeah, but from that standpoint, like the message that the band brings to the public, I think we probably all agree with that, and we're all behind it. And that's kind of what drives the energy. That's kind of what makes people walk away from our shows with a better feeling in their hearts, and hopefully they go out the next day and they make one little difference in their community, and that's really all that it's going to take.
Yeah, and when people come to us after the show and say, the show was great, the music was awesome, the musicianship was fantastic, but that energy, that vibe, that I walked out feeling so positive, and you can't help but not then be a jerk to somebody, so that, because music is meaningful to us all, right? And so by listening to it, you don't really have to say it, but I think that people hear it, and they come back because of that, because a positive message and doesn't require any consumption and it's free and you can share it with people. That's I would hope pretty appealing.
Mm-hmm. Now and along with that, you guys are a really exciting live band to watch. But you also have studio recordings that you have out, and you're about to do a new recording, right? How do you transfer that energy that you bring to your live show to the studio? Because sometimes bands that'll trip up a band. How do you do that?
We play live format. In other words, we don't really separate and then track. We kind of play together. We take the best of it and we play off each other like we would normally, and then overdub and all that stuff on top of it. So it's still pretty easy to kind of have a little bit of spontaneity and improvisation, and in the studio you just try to at least gather the core of it, and then you kind of go back and add what you need to on top of it. So I think that's how it kind of comes out in the last album we did anyway that I was on.
For me, playing live, I never play anything the same exact way twice, but when thinking about what you're going to do in the studio, you kind of go back and listen to old recordings and just kind of take the best out of everything that you thought you did was cool, and kind of just implement it in the studio.
And we rehearse. We're like really serious about rehearsal. I came home last week's rehearsal and I was like, geez, dude, I felt like I went down to the Y and played a bunch of hoops. We're serious about rehearsing so that when we go into the studio, I think the key thing about not sounding tight or like it's in a studio is we're prepared. We're ready. Mm-hmm. So when we go in, we're feeling relaxed, and that's going to translate like live, because the same thing, you can't be up there thinking about the next thing. You just have to have done it 100 or 200 or 300 times so that you know what's going to happen. And then there's that spontaneity. And you don't clean up too much, We're going to a place in California that doesn't do digital reverb. It's a lot of analog on a lot of old gear. And so you get that space and those sounds. And I think if you clean things up too much in the studio, which is now because you can in a digital age, that temptation is there, but you don't want to over-clean. I like hearing a thing in the background that wasn't meant to be, I think. But I think that question is every single album. We're never going to get to the point where we're like, how do we make that sound like a live show? We're always going to be consciously thinking about trying to make it sound less like a studio and more like the experience live.
And just to get a little news out to your fans, you're about to go in and record this new album. Do you have a kind of estimate on the release date? Do you have a name for this new release?
Still untitled. It'll be a few months, before we're done with
probably the
recording
fall
process.
sometime.
Yeah. Fall. Okay.
Guess, But we're kind of going to let it happen.
Yeah.
As it,
Yeah. And the recording process, you could do it, and we were going to go to a friend's basement and string it out over the course for a few months, but it would at least be in our neighborhood. But we're going to go there for 5 days and lock ourselves in the studio and be as focused as we can. So anything that happens after that, mixing or peripheral stuff for the soul singers or any additional background vocals, things like that, so we're not going to make this in a long amount of time, but with all the work that takes, probably our big Halloween show in the fall or something like that.
Okay. Now, we ask all our artists to bring in something to donate to the garage, and Musketeer Gripweed brought this poster in for us. And this has a little bit of a cool story behind it. Who did this poster for you?
That was my partner, Julie, partner in crime, partner in life. And she does a lot of artwork for the band. And so, yeah, this was for our Halloween show. And, we get really great artwork from graphic artists and people who do things on computers, but this is all done by hand. And I think that there's something about our music that somehow connects to the art that we're putting out there. And maybe that's a little more grounded and a little more rough around the edges. And I just,
Kind of goes along with your music.
Yeah, I would hope.
So I take this as the Reverend right here, and then is this the rest of you guys here around the campfire?
It looks like it. Yeah,
a bunch of guys in hats.
Yep.
At a campfire. You wear your hats to
Plotting.
camping.
Plotting.
Of course.
Yeah, we're plotting in that picture about what's going to go on over the next day.
What do we have here? Is that a
Gasoline can?
Oh, there you go. All right, making a fire. Well, you have to listen to the music that Musketeer Gripweed did for us today, because it is a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for coming in, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Second Story Garage.